Something strange is happening in my late grandmother's house. Tonight I never thought I would come back to Grandma's house. Not after she died, not after the nightmares started. But here I am, sifting through dusty furniture and faded photographs, trying to make sense of the life she left behind. The air smells like mothballs and old carpet, the kind of smell that sticks to your lungs and refuses to leave. As I move through the living room, a memory hits me, sharp and unwelcome. I am 6 years old again, small and terrified, my grandmother's sharp voice echoing as she shoves me into the closet. She said it was for my own good, that I needed to learn patience or manners or something, but I knew better. Inside that closet, I would sit with the doll, the one she kept propped in the corner. Life-size porcelain face, eyes too wide, too real. I swore it would move when I blinked, a hand shifting slightly, a head tilting just enough to catch me watching. I told myself it was just my imagination, but my 6-year-old self knew. I laughed nervously to myself and walked down the narrow hallway toward the old guest bedroom. The closet is still there. The door looks the same, scuffed at the bottom, the little brass knob tarnished with age. My heart starts beating faster. I reach for the handle. Inside it is dark. The shape is unmistakable. The doll, my stomach drops. It is standing there just like I remember, staring at me with that impossible, patient smile. I take a step forward. My hand brushes the doorframe. The closet door swings shut behind me. I try to pull it open. It will not budge. The darkness presses in, thicker than the air outside. My breath comes in shallow, ragged gasps. Then I hear it, a faint creak, like the doll is shifting, turning its head. I am trapped, and suddenly I realize I never left the closet in the first place. My fingernails scrape against the old wood as I yank at the knob. For a sick second, I am sure it is not going to open, that I am going to die in this closet with the thing I have feared since I was a kid. Then with a groan, the door finally gives way, and I stumble backward into the bedroom. The doll falls forward, its porcelain limbs clattering against the floorboards. It is not smiling anymore. The once patient face is twisted, jaw open just enough to show faintly carved teeth, its painted eyes narrowed into an expression I can only describe as rage. The lips, cracked with age, look like they are about to split open and scream. I do not wait to find out. I bolt. I am halfway down the hall before I realize I am running toward the kitchen. The smell of old spice racks and stale coffee hits me, a smell baked so deeply into the walls it feels permanent. My heart is hammering so hard it feels like the house can hear it, and then I see it. On the counter, between a stack of yellowed newspapers and an unplugged toaster, sits a toy I have not seen in 30 years. A thick, hollow plastic Pillsbury Doughboy. Its tiny hands frozen in a mock wave, that stupid little chef's hat perched on its head. My knees go weak. Suddenly I am 7 again. I can hear it even now, the soft pitter-patter of plastic feet running across the linoleum at night, the giggle, that high-pitched hoo-hoo echoing from the dark kitchen while everyone else slept. I used to tell my grandma about it. I would stand there shaking, pointing at it while it laughed and ran in circles around her legs. She would slap me for lying. Not because she was cruel, but because she could not see it. To her, the doughboy was always exactly where she left it, silent and harmless on the counter. She thought I was inventing monsters where there were none, but I remember the look on her face sometimes just before she hit me, confused, almost afraid. Like she knew something was wrong, she just did not know what. A sound breaks me out of the memory, a thud from outside, heavy, like something hitting the wall just under the kitchen window. I spin, yanking the curtain aside. Nothing, just the dead yard and the skeletal remains of her rose bushes. When I turn back, the doughboy's head is gone. It is sitting next to the toy's body on the counter, separated cleanly as if someone had popped it off like a bottle cap, and the tiny, hollow body is still standing perfectly upright. I need to get out of the kitchen, out of the house, but something inside me says do not run. Maybe it is pride, maybe it is habit. Maybe it is Grandma's voice, the one I still sometimes hear in my sleep, telling me fear only feeds things. I force myself back into the living room, trying to ignore the noise of my own heartbeat. The smell of dust and mothballs clings to everything. I grab a cardboard box from the pile near the sofa and start tossing her knickknacks into it just to keep my hands busy. China teacups. A cracked snow globe, a dozen little figurines she kept on a shelf I was never allowed to touch. Normal things, safe things. I cling to the motion like it is a ritual. As I wrap each piece in yellowed newspaper, another memory bubbles up. Grandma sitting in her chair late at night, chain smoking with the lights off except for the glow of the TV. The smell of coffee always nearby, dark and bitter, even at hours no one should be awake. She would tell me things back then, half lullabies, half warnings. I know how to tie my spirit to an object, she said once, her voice low and rasping. When I pass, I can stay in this realm, watch over you. Protect you from the ugly things that crawl in when no one is looking. I thought she was just scaring me or trying to make herself sound important. She even showed me once. She pressed a hand against one of her little trinkets, a porcelain cat, a silver thimble, and whispered something under her breath, words that made the air feel tight and wrong. She said the items were her eyes, her hands. Now packing up these same knickknacks, I noticed something. The items are warm, not warm from the house, warm like skin. I drop one into the box and it rattles against the others. I swear I hear something shift in the next room, like a chair being dragged slowly across the floor, something pacing. Grandma always said the world was full of things that liked children because they were easy to fool. She said closets were doors and toys were invitations. She said she would never leave me alone. She said she would be here when the world turned ugly, and all at once it hits me. Maybe she was not lying, maybe she was keeping things busy. I freeze as I hear it, the soft gurgle of a percolator bubbling in the kitchen. The smell hits me first, thick and dark, almost black, curling through the stale air like it never left. I step toward the sound, every muscle in my body screaming not to, and push open the kitchen door. The sight nearly stops my heart. The doll is sitting in one of the kitchen chairs, its face still twisted with anger, jaw set, eyes burning like coals. The Pillsbury Doughboy sits on the table, headless, its hollow little body rigid, vibrating slightly, like it wants to move but knows better. And there she is. My grandmother stands at the counter, cigarette burning down between her fingers, pouring coffee into 2 mugs like this as any other night. She looks solid, familiar, real. Only her shadow gives her away. At first it mimics her movements, then it doesn't. It stretches too long, bends the wrong way, coils against the baseboards like something alive, something watching the doorways instead of me. "Stop pissing your pants, James," she says, voice low and amused. "Come have some coffee." The doll lets out a sound, a thin, furious whine. The doughboy rattles once and goes still. Grandma does not even look at them, but the shadow shifts, spreading wider, blocking the hallway, the closets, every dark opening in the house. The smell of coffee is intoxicating, warm, familiar. Safe in a way nothing else here is. My heart is still pounding, but against all reason, against all fear, something in me steps forward. Her eyes meet mine. They are the same eyes I remember, sharp and tired and loving in a way that always hurt. But now there is something else there, something patient. Something that has been standing guard for a very long time. I realized then the toys were never hers. They were bait, and she never left because she could not afford to. She takes a drag from her cigarette and exhales slowly, the smoke drifting like a warning. "You're too old now," she says softly. "They're starting to notice you again." She slides a mug across the table toward me. "Sit, drink. I've been holding them back as long as I can."